Hey guys, it's Zenku Tafara back at you guys again with another video. This video, I'm going to look at it a little bit differently for you guys. We're going to be touching on why inconsistent months quietly kill insurance income. So I'm sure a lot of you guys see, we just got out of the open enrollment period, and one of the biggest things that you'll see is that agents are able to make a large portion of their yearly income during these 6 weeks. And not to say that it's already over, but a lot of the open enrollment juice per se is really exhausted from November 1st through December 15th. That's for the ACA open enrollment. And a lot of times these agents, you don't really necessarily have to have it all together to make a decent income at this time of the year, because really you're just increasing your volume, you're increasing your efforts, and there's going to be more people, more volume of warmer leads during this time. And so to make $2,000 or $3,000 a week in insurance sales during open enrollment is not necessarily as impressive as doing it outside of open enrollment, doing that consistently where you're doing $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week consistently. That is how you build a sustainable business. But again, I'm here to talk to you guys about exactly why agents have inconsistent months and how that can quietly kill your income as an insurance agent. And so obviously, as an insurance agent, you start and your goal is to essentially just make something. You're trying to go from zero to something when you first jump into the role. Now, whether that's running deals or whether that's closing your own appointments, the fact of the matter is that this small time frame is crucial where you at least have the ability to generate income in a role that is, again, 100% commission. And once you're able to do that on a consistent level, the next thing you want to do is obviously stack on top of that. So maybe your goal is $1,000 a week. Maybe it's 1,500 a week. Maybe it's higher than that. Maybe it's 2,000 a week. You essentially don't want to go back down to not making any money or going back down to zero. So if your goal is $1,000 a week and you're doing 800, 800, 800, that's still better than doing it where it's 1,000 one week and zero the next. Because again, those weeks that you have zero, the more often that comes about, the more the self-doubt, lack of confidence, these errors or huge areas of improvement come as an insurance agent that might be struggling during that time. During open enrollment, you see this a lot because you have agents who may have struggled the entire year, and maybe their upline tells them, hey, just stick to open enrollment. Or maybe you know this yourself and you're like, if I just get to open enrollment, a lot of this will be resolved. But you're not necessarily resolving anything at all. You're just waiting until the busy part of the year where people are closing deals. And so those bad habits that you had prior to open enrollment, showing up late, not working the leads like you should be doing, if you have issues with closing, obviously these are not going to be apparent if there's everybody looking for insurance and if everybody's ready to buy. These are going to be evident once that open enrollment period ends, a la, beginning of January, or, actually even bleeding into February with, those people waiting until January 15th to also look for insurance. And so you're not necessarily going to see these ailments again, especially within your agents, until after this period. And when you go back and say, well, why am I not making the money or the same amount of money that I was during open enrollment? It's because you had those weaknesses all along. You just never were able to keep it consistent. That's why it's always important to prepare 2, 3, 4 months prior to the enrollment period. And if you're having issues with closing, if you're having issues with appointment setting, if you're having issues with your pipeline, if you're having all these different issues that maybe you have not figured out exactly how to handle so far, open enrollment is only going to hinder that because it's not going to let you perform to your fullest potential. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily how much work you're putting in or how much effort you're showing during this time, because again, volume will always be a determinant of how much you're working. If you have a lot of volume, anybody that you hand 12 qualified appointments to is going to work during those 12 qualified appointments, even if it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So that's why I never really bought into the whole, I don't want to work hard, or I don't believe in working hard, especially once they're already in the insurance industry, because you simply just don't have the vehicle to be able to work those amount of appointments. You simply just have not gotten to that point yet. And so the longer, you guys have heard the statistic, again, I've mentioned it a lot of times in my videos, but 92% of insurance agents fail in their first year. A lot of that has to do with inconsistent months. And again, their expectations of what they thought their insurance career would be. You hear all the stories about $100,000 a year or $150,000 a year. But if I told you that you were going to sign up and sell insurance and go through the licensing and go through all these things, but you were going to make through your first 11 months or first 10 months that you were only going to make I don't know, $60,000, $70,000, and the back end income in open enrollment was where you were going to make another $30,000, $40,000, and that's how you were going to total out to $100,000 or $110,000. Is that something that you would sign up for? Probably not, right? Many of you guys, I mean, that would be looking, you're working all these hours, you're doing less than $10,000 a month, less than $8,000 a month, all to starve yourself for that championship, round, or that championship period, which is those 6 weeks, what I like to consider the playoffs of open enrollment. Those weeks of basically going through and saying, all right, well, I made, 2,000 this week, but then I went back down to zero. I made 1,500 this week, then I went back down to 300. That is as clear and as evident as possible that you simply don't have a system that you can recite, and that is exactly the inconsistent months. That's later in your season career. I refer to this as the agent ego or the veteran ego, where, oh, I've done it before, I know what I'm doing. Well, this is a business and this is a job where it's more of what have you done lately. Just because you closed $100,000 of premiums 2 years ago or 6 months ago or 3, I, as a leader and as an agency owner and as someone that managed these type of agents, I could not care less. I could not care less what you've done 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 20 years ago. Doesn't matter, because right now in the today, you're not making the money that you need to be making. And that is oftentimes conversations that I would have with a lot of these agents, understanding that, yes, it's important that you've understood that you have reached these peaks before, but without a consistent system, without understanding that not 1 week is going to make or break you, you're back at square one, thinking like a new agent, doubting whether or not you can actually do the abilities or do the closes of what makes you a top producer. The thing about top producers is that they're on go mode 99% of the time. It's not something that you have to tell them. It's not something that you have to instill in them. You simply have to give them the tools, the system, the structure, and then let them flourish. Then the difference between someone that's making $8,000 is not concerned with someone that's making $12,000 a week, because they're all in one unison. Obviously, there's competition in that involved, but at the end of the day, the main takeaway from this is that without a clear and identifiable system, you are simply going to be too inconsistent to stabilize an insurance career in a business that's 100% commission. If you guys like videos like this, again, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys very shortly.